What's up, mamas? Right now we have Kim West, and she's known as the Sleep Lady, and for good reason. She's been on national news sources. She's also been on several talk shows talking about the topic of sleep and our children and our babies. It's something we all want to know, and she is a phenomenal speaker. She's been on the Mom Conference before, so I'm so excited to have you back, Kim. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned bedtime routines and the importance of those. What if you do a bedtime routine with your child and they just resist it? They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Well, I say this particularly about 2-year-olds. I know I keep saying 2-year-olds as an example, but
hey, I appreciate it.
Is that I often have moms say to me, "Oh, my 2-year-old's doesn't want to take a nap anymore," and I always think, I think that they go through a stage where they think that they don't need a nap anymore, but we know better, right? And so all we can do is provide the environment and the timing and that soothing pre-nap and pre-bedtime routine. And then we still put them in their crib, and it's not a negotiation. Or you can do, I shouldn't say or, and you could also offer options, right? But never is the option, you don't have to go to bed, right?
Right.
You want to wear your yellow pages or your blue pages? You want to read this book or do you want to read that book? And I also love to blame everything on the clock, not the sun, because then we're in trouble during the summer. So, look, if let's say bedtime is, 7:30, lights out is 7:30, and, they had extra playing in the tub, then you say, you know what, we don't have that much time left. We have like 10 minutes. So tonight we can only read one book, because I know a lot of parents will go through, oh my gosh, he wants to read 7 books. And then I get talked into more. And so that's why you just blame it on the clock.
Okay.
No, sorry, we only have time for one because it's, 7:30 is lights out. But you got to really stick with it and you have to be consistent because a little wobbling, right, on your part, and then they figure out like, oh, I push a little more. And because, that is what they're doing. They're trying to figure out what they have control over and what they don't.
Your kids are smarter than you think they are. So do you believe in a flexible bedtime, or like if your bedtime is 7:30, you put them down at 7:30?
I always feel like if I say, yes, I believe in a flexible bedtime, then, it's like one night it's 9, the next night it's 8. Here's the thing. If your child is sleeping well and taking, naps and sleeping through the night, like you don't have a problem, right? If it's not broken, don't fix it. And can those children adapt like to a later night? Yes, they can. They can adapt much more easily than a child who's already sleep deprived. Mm-hmm. So I like to say maybe I'd say flexible bedtime as long as the wiggle room's not too big.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So what do you do if there's a 2-year-old that won't go to sleep because they have this fear of missing out? And my son does this only if someone's over at our house, and then it's time for him to go to bed, then he has a hard time. But I feel like there are some kids that just feel like they're missing out. What advice do you have for those parents?
I think that is hard, by the way, when you have guests over, particularly if you have a very social child or a very sensitive child. In like a sensory sensitive kid, it's harder for them. And they're just so sorry for all this background noise.
I love it.
They're just, I guess this is part of that imperfect parenting, right?
Exactly. No, that's why I'm loving this. It goes right along with the theme.
But then there's, just the kids who, don't want to miss out because, they're just having so much fun with you. So that's why I really think it's helpful to like make the atmosphere boring and be fully engaged. Like, they say you and I should, I love this, like who gets to do this? Piddle an hour before bedtime. Start to dim the lighting in your home, turn TVs off, screen time, do kind of mindless things like put away the laundry. Things do help us and tell our body to start to slow down. And I think that's why our routine is so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I think these sensitive kids, like, you can't just run upstairs and like plop them into bed.
Right.
They really need that routine. So pulling the shade down, maybe dimming the lights, picking out a quiet activity. And I really think if we, the parents, also have no devices during the bedtime routine too. And also for our children, it really, really helps. The routine is what tells our body, along with darkness, by the way, tells our body to secrete melatonin, that drowsy making hormone, to help us go to sleep.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And in your time sleep coaching, because you just mentioned, every child is different and they have different behavioral, I wouldn't even call them issues, but just different things that they do. When it comes to the routine, the bedtime routine, are there different things that are better for certain personality types and certain children? Or have you found in your sleep coaching that everything that you just said kind of works as a blanket for every type of child, just dimming the lights and doing the routine?
Some of those, some things like dimming the lights, pulling down the shades are true for every single one of us, because that's what triggers melatonin secretion, which is that drowsy making hormone. So yes, to that. Where things can be different is some kids find a bath stimulating. Others end up finding it relaxing after, of course, you've gotten out of the bath and had the pajamas. Some kids find deep pressure soothing. Some kids, no, don't touch me, like that. Other kids want to sit in your lap and look at a book, and others want to like lie on the floor or the bed with you. So those things, I think, are different depending on the type of, your child's temperament.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what would be your number one takeaway that you would want moms and dads as parents to remember when it comes to sleep training your child?
Consistency is the secret sauce. And that includes then, therefore, picking the method that you feel like you can follow through with consistently, and that it's okay to reach out for support if you've either tried and failed or feel like you need that support. And I guess I'm going to add another one is it often takes more than 3 days, and for sure more than one. And I know we hear about all those parents who say, oh, my child like 5 minutes and one night, and now they sleep through the night. That they have like excellent public relations managers. So don't expect that. If it happens, I celebrate that with you, but don't expect it.
Have a little patience, have a little grace with yourself and your child.
Yes.
And if you're consistent, it'll all work out. I do have a question of up to what age do you do the bedtime routine?
That's such a great question, because I've started this bedtime story that I'm going to put on my YouTube channel, and it's brought up all these conversations about reading picture books to your children. And the research, there's an excellent research that talks about this psychologist who said she was studying all these adults who had a trauma, and she ended up, her studies ended up going way beyond the initial work. And she said to them, asked them, what was your most memorable childhood memory or event or thing?
Right.
And they all said, having a story told to me, or a picture book read with me. Yeah, by a caregiver, which is amazing. And so I asked my girls who are in their 20s, what do you think? And they said, absolutely, that they still to this day remember reading picture books with each other, even beyond when they could read. So I think always having a connection, because think about it, even like when our kids get into latency age 7, 8, 9, 10, that thing, they have a lot going on that they need to practice, and even if it's just having something to talk about, to be grateful for before going to sleep, it's important. I really do think it's such a great time to connect with our kids. And sometimes it's when they tell you the most too.
Right. Ooh, I love that. That's incredible. So when you say picture book too, you're just talking any book, right, with pictures that you read to your child
Yeah.
on a
And
daily
they
basis.
say it's specifically picture books because
Huh.
it also helps with reading and imagination and putting images together with words. And there's lots of great research on that. Yeah.
Ooh, that's incredible. I love that. All right. So my final question for you is going to be, since the theme of this conference is confessions of an imperfect mother, and you are a mother yourself, do you have any stories of a time you maybe screwed up a little bit? It could be with sleeping or anything else, but then everything turned out okay.
Yeah. Um, for sure. Like, how about today, right now? My goodness, best laid plan. Not that this is a parenting moment. I think about this one story event with my younger daughter, who is very alert and very observant. And she was driving me crazy one afternoon, asking me the same question over and over and over and over again. I'm sure you can relate to this. And
Uh-huh.
I got a little irritated and I turned to her and I said, "Oh my gosh, Gretchen, have I somehow said yes after 20 no's? Like, why do you keep asking?" Because, of course, I know that that's part of like behavioral science, right?
Right.
And she very thoughtfully looked at me and said, "No, it's just that sometimes you forget that you said no." Oh my gosh. Oh, so it shows you like they pick up this stuff. They are watching us. And I had to really like stand up straight and be like, okay, well, that was my fault then. I'll try not to do that anymore. Plenty of examples, of course. Just like the ones you listed in your emails of like horrible dinners and forgetting important things. And I've done
Oh,
them.
yeah. I love that so much. She shouldn't have told you that, because then you're going to be more vigilant to say no and stick with it.
Right. And of course, if she was a teenager, she would never have, but she was too young to know that she shouldn't have told me.
I love that. Kim, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing some of your knowledge with us, and tell everybody where they can get more information on you and just your trainings and everything.
Yeah. Just go over to sleeplady.com at my website. I have hundreds and thousands of blog articles and resources. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at The Sleep Lady too.
All right. Awesome. Kim, thank you so much. We appreciate the time.
Thank you. Take care.